Now I can hear you.
Hey, wonderful. How are you?
Good, good. How are you doing?
Uh, well, it's been crazy. Honestly, we had a number of colleges here recently that had reached out and, wanted to purchase some product. And, we have two different SKUs of product. We have the Pro, which is the product that we sell to most everyone. And then we have an NCAA version. We have that NCAA version, which we have to comply with the NCAA impermissible substances. They're not banned, but for instance, Omega-3's up until January of last year, you could not provide your athletes with Omega-3's.
I know, isn't it wild?
Well, it is. It's kind of crazy, honestly. But also bovine collagen and L-carnitine are both on that impermissible list. So we've got two different versions of the product, one that we provide to colleges and then our Pro product. But we had a number of colleges, as they're figuring out what their season's going to look like, reach out and say, hey, we want some product. And I'm like, okay. So we've got it separated, and we've got some still in our manufacturer. And so we're moving stuff around, make sure we have plenty of product in place.
So you guys were founded in where?
Well, we're originally a UK-based company.
UK. Is a lot of that. Well, your manufacturing's in Spain, right?
Spain, correct.
And
correct.
Probably have to, and then you're starting the American, so you probably have to, so you can get product from one.
We are, yeah. And and it's really kind of a slow process with having the UK contingency. We have the US based contingency here, which really consists of me and some support staff with via Rhino Marketing, and we've looked at manufacturing over here, but when you're starting up, your manufacturing in the U.S. is going to require 5, 6, 7, 8 million units. Well, we don't need that many. Obviously, we have dating on our product, 1 year from the date of manufacture. So you have to be very careful when you manufacture, who you're manufacturing with, what the quantities look like. And this was a relationship that our developer, our founder, Yana, had developed over in Spain that she had worked with. And they allow us to do smaller batches initially, but we will get to a point where this product really reaches out to that general consumer, as just a great source of Omega-3's, not necessarily that elite athlete. I always like to say, we've made a Bugatti, and eventually we have to have a Chevrolet and a Toyota for the general population.
Yep.
What will that look like? I don't know. I don't control those things.
Yeah. Would you just keep the high-end product and have the general population drink the high-end product?
We could do that, especially manufacturing over here in the States. We could probably find a manufacturer that could do it for less. And, we'd have a whole lot more margin to work with the product. Omega-3's, unfortunately, is it's an expensive product to work with, especially if you're sourcing a very high quality product, which we are. And that's a whole nother story and caveat behind our product. This family that fishes the North Atlantic there and out of Norway, they've been doing this for generations, almost 100 years. And they go out, they're fishing off the boat, they catch the cod, they extract the cod liver oil, they flash freeze it right there on the boat, and they bring it back in to the manufacturer. And then a number of people buy from that source, but it's just a very unique story behind where we source our product and why we use the highest quality cod liver oil that we can find. There are a lot of sources that are, it's a mackerel or it's a sardine, and it's just not as high a quality omega-3 product as we'd like in the enhanced recovery.
Yeah,
So yeah, just
my athletes, you know, anybody who knows me, or if there's athletes watching this or listening, like omega-3s down people's throats.
right,
And I use lab data to help me with that, right? So it's not just necessarily
right,
everybody. I don't dose everybody super high, but I use
right,
show me, you know, whether it's an omega check or there's a few different ways to measure omega-3
right.
fatty acids in the body. But, you know, most of my athletes are very low. A few,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
then the ones that work with me are optimal, but it's because
Right.
so many omega-3s. And so they, you know, they kind of are a little bit like, oh, how many pills am I going to have to take in the beginning?
Uh-huh.
Then they see the results on their labs like 6 to 12 months later. I'm like, look at this. And this is all
Right.
anti-inflammatory. This is not only good for your performance and your muscles, but
Yeah.
and your inflammation, but it's good for your brain and your heart. And like
Right.
the research on omega-3s is wildly.
Oh, it's yeah. And that's, that's what we kind of stand behind the parts of the whole. We're in the process of working with, a number of different opportunities and trials with the enhanced recovery product. Because like you say, we have tons and tons of data on omega-3s. We have tons of data on protein sources, whey proteins, collagens, even antioxidants. This has a very high ORAC value. Honestly, it gets a lot of that ORAC value from the black currant. So you put those together in one emulsification and it doesn't exist. So in a sense, we're kind of defining the market with this product. There are no emulsified omega-3s with this much omega-3 fatty acids, 1,600 milligrams. And so everybody sees the benefits of all the individual parts, but as a whole, that's really what we need to look at in a trial. And we will, whether it's just using an omega quant blood splatter test just to show, hey, does it elevate the omega-3 levels?
Mm-hmm.
I was just sitting here reading this. There's a recent published article, Peter Ritz, who's a nutritionist at Northwestern now. He was the lead investigator on this trial, and they looked at 1,528 collegiate athletes across 9 different Division I schools. And, their levels on this Omega Quant, this arbitrary scale, 1 to 10, it was like 4.3. And ultimately, you want to be up in that 8 or 9 area. I may have told you, I was a big Omega-3 guy, and I was taking Omega-3s, and I was a part of another trial. And I thought, well, I'm going to be good. I'll be good. Mine was still low. So whether or not I was taking enough or the quality of the product that I was taking wasn't being absorbed, I have a feeling I probably wasn't taking enough at 250 pounds. I maybe should have been taking, upwards of 4 grams, 3 to 4 grams. I generally take 2 of the enhanced recovery, especially on the days that I train excessively hard. If I'm doing a squat day, a leg day, where I'm using a lot of large muscle groups, a lot of core, I'll take one post-exercise within that first half hour after I train, and then I'll take another drink before I go to bed. And it just while I'm sleeping, recovering, rehabbing at night, I get that protein. There have been some trials done on, pre-sleep protein and increase in muscle protein synthesis at night, but I also get those omega-3s that aid in that recovery and tissue repair and the inflammation that exists throughout my body as I get older.
Yeah. So to give some background on supplements for people that are unaware. So supplements are everywhere. You can buy them on store shelves
Sure.
everywhere. And what people don't understand is the sourcing of those. And so you can get giant bottles of omega oil at, I'm not going to name the stores, but big box.
Big box stores.
And a lot of people are taking the initiative, doing the research and saying, okay, this is something that's worth taking. They see it. It's a cheap price. and then they're taking it, and then I start working with them, and I'm like, okay, so I need to go back and I need to educate you. Supplements are not regulated. And so it's for people to kind of just put whatever they want in them. So you got to think of supplements as medicine first. Yeah. And then I always tell them, from what I am going to prescribe you, omega-3s are going to be the most expensive. And I just, because in order to source good quality fish, like you're saying, and not use a bunch of random fish and a conglomerate, and then there's certain extraction methods that are exactly. And the amount that I want you to take, this is going to be a little bit more expensive. So what's exciting to me is that the pills I'm prescribing now are great, but for some of my athletes that are either coming off injury, their omega check levels are so low, like we need to up. I'm giving, 3 to 4 to sometimes 5 of those big fish oil pills. Right. Taking them, they're compliant, but it's not the fun thing. Right. Giving huge pill regimens. And then there's the complaint with some about like fishy burps. Fish burps, oh yeah. Then take them at night, blah, blah. So I'm also not going to say this player's name, but a very high-end player in the world. And I am her personal dietitian. She called, because they all know, they're all trained, before you put anything in your mouth, you call me. She said, I have this product and I just tried it, and it's an omega-3 drink. And I was like, okay. And she's like, over here. She's in the UK. And I'll show you. I was like, okay, send me a picture of like all sides of the box, the bottle or whatever. Right. So then I was looking at it and I was like, this is too good to be true. What is the catch? Because okay, so normally I dose my players 1 to 3 grams per day, which is 1,000 to 3,000 milligrams. 3,000, yeah. So on the bottle it says 1,600 milligrams in one drink, and I'm like, what? Yeah, right. It's a protein, and I'm like, what? And then I look on the back, and there's nothing crappy in there. Yeah. And I see the informed sport label. Right. I'm like, girl, whatever, however you just got this taste. And she's like, actually, it's good. It's like berries. And I was like, all right, so you need to send me some. So you guys were so nice, and you sent me some to try. Yeah, great. It is one of those rare. Yeah. It's not a fad. There's no catch. It's just you guys have found some way to emulsify this, to not have it taste like fish. It does not taste like fish. Right. And so I now drink 2 a day, and I get cold. So I keep the fridge and dump 2 into a mason jar, and I drink it. So I have this little hydration routine that I do in the morning. My coffee, I have to do these hydration steps or whatever. It's just how. And so that's part of it. So I dump 2 in a mason jar. It fits perfectly. And then I drink it cold, and I'm done. So now my husband is. He's getting on a kick. And so it's like, it takes away the pills. So I just sent some to my WNBA players. Yeah. And I said, if you like it, then this will remove your protein shake, because protein is the same as them shaking a bottle of chunky whey protein, which is but this covers 20 grams, and it takes away your fish oil pills for most of you. For they would need 2 a day. For others, they would need 1. And so I was like, it has antioxidants in it, so this is kind of like a 3-fer. Yeah, it is a 3-fer. Yeah, and that was one of the things that. It was kind of one of those unspoken things about the antioxidant level and the benefits of the antioxidants, because at many of these collegiate, sports, they're drinking something like a tart cherry juice, which is kind of was a big craze. And this has an ORAC value of 8-ounce dose of tart cherry juice. It's about 88%. So there is a nice high antioxidant level in this product. But you're right. It's all food based.
It's food sourced. In fact, I've had some, some NHL. You got the Major League Baseball and National Hockey League both have collective bargaining agreements. They're very specific about their supplementation, certifications that they require. We have Informed Sport. There's another certification here in the U.S. that a lot of people like to have.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, we will do that. But I asked her, I said, okay, well, I'm sending this to your players. How are you doing this with your collective bargaining agreement and the certifications that are required? She says, well, you have a food label. This is a food. We're not classified as a supplement.
Right.
It is a food. It's almost a superfood, we like to say. So she says, I'm using that and I'm standing on that to kind of circumvent that process and get the product into my players' hands. Because again, it's going to be very, very few. I've had less than 1% of people ever say that, oh, I just don't like that, or it's too tart.
Yep.
And I said, well, what's your option? The fish burp? The other option is the fish burp, or maybe the reflux that you get with some of the, fish oils. So, it's just you're right. It's such a unique product. I spent, 15 years in the pharmaceutical industry. We have 2 prescription omega-3 products out there. The FDA saw fit. There's enough evidence out there, specifically around cardiovascular health with omega-3s, that they created 2 prescriptions. The most recent is a product called Vasipa, and it's specifically the EPA component of the omega-3s. So you see this out there in the market and you're thinking, well, there's something to this. And one thing I continue to hear, Ashley, about our product is I do get a lot of athletes. We've provided samples to a lot of aging athletes too, like myself, that, we've taken lots of shots to the head and,
yep.
But everybody's a little different. And I even have some athletes or some former players that say, I don't know what it is. I cannot put my finger specifically on what this does. I just know that when I take this, I feel better. I don't, and maybe it was you, somebody told me, said, yeah, sometimes it's the things that you don't feel.
Yeah.
That are the benefit. And for me, I know in taking the product, I just don't get real sore after a workout. I don't have that muscle pain, that muscle discomfort. I did squats legs yesterday morning, and I was really fatigued. I know walking up and down the stairs here in my home office, I was thinking, wow, you probably overdid it. But this morning, I had absolutely no discomfort. I still feel the fatigue. I still know that I worked my legs, but I don't have any of that, lactic acid buildup. I get no DOMS, no delayed onset muscle soreness. Now that's unique for me. I have talked with several other athletes that have the same experience. One's a former collegiate player, All-American. He's a football coach at one of the big Division I schools. That was his sentiment about the product and what he shared. And we're doing some large training camp trials with several of the Division I schools just to provide it to all their players during camp. And we want the feedback. We want to know, obviously they like the taste, but how do they feel while they're training? Their endurance levels, their energy levels, their muscle discomfort. And these are little things that we can use as we build this brand and get it into the hands of more and more of the elite athletes, both at the collegiate and the professional level.
Yep.
And it's a process. And things like this really help to get our name out and circulated out there with athletes that, like to say, that you train and work with. And it's, the full-time nutritionist just really in the last 10 years has really started to grow.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember back in college, we didn't have a nutritionist. I mean, we didn't even, the type of supplements we got in our dining hall, we had a guy that prepared our meals, but there was absolutely nothing like it is today with selected meals and calorie intake for specific athletes. And this is your shake and yours is made with this. And and by the way, this is great to use as a base for a smoothie or a shake.
Yeah.
Uh, we've had that. Yeah, we've had that done as well.
Yeah, so I have the WNBA, some of my WNBA players on it. I have NFL players on it. I think what's interesting is that it's shelf stable, right? So
Right.
a lot of them travel, right? So
Oh yeah.
with pill bottles, they're traveling with bars, they're traveling with things.
Right.
This is easy to travel with. And then
Right.
I want somebody to have a really good experience up front with it. So I tell them to put in the fridge. And then ideally, athletes, I want them taking one before they do practice, game, and then one after.
Yeah.
It helps with like the pre and post.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, just looking at the nutrition facts, there's 252 calories per bottle, or per, what do you call this? A bottle?
A carton. It's kind of a carton. People like they like this carton. It eliminates the plastic. People are a little funny sometimes about plastic seeping into ingredients. I'm like, okay.
Yes. So 2 calories, 8 grams of fat. 3.7 of that is coming from monounsaturated.
Yeah, monounsaturated.
Coming from the polyunsaturated. No cholesterol. 210 milligrams of potassium, 20 milligrams of sodium. So there's some electrolytes.
Yeah, right.
5 grams of carbs. So for a lot of people are taking a carb, right? Pre-practice.
Sure. Yeah.
That covers that. Then we got 1.5 grams of fiber, 23 grams of sugar, which is coming from the
fructose. Yeah.
And the fructose, and then 20 grams of protein.
Yeah.
And then the ingredients, I mean, top ingredients are water, juice from apple, pear, and black currant, whey proteins, collagen, and then we have fish oil from the cod. And then we have sunflower proteins, black cumin oil, carnitine, raspberry, vitamin D. So literally, I don't see any artificial ingredients. I don't see any artificial sweeteners.
Right, no sweeteners, yeah.
Free, soy-free, nut-free.
Gluten-free, yeah.
Really, like when I evaluate something, those are all the things I look for. So then when you get to the omega-3s, there's 1,600 milligrams of omega-3s, 820 milligrams of DHA, and 50 milligrams of EPA, and then 230 of ALA. So I mean, just the breakdown nutritionally, that's like what it looks like for people watching and listening. And it's so it's an ideal product, easy to travel with, and it can replace some pills, it can replace some shakes, it can in one thing it can replace a few other things, which is what I like.
Yeah. And that's great. I love that you read the breakdown, because it is very natural. It is food-based, naturally sourced. There is no added sugars and sweeteners. Comes from the fructose. Any sweetness comes from that fructose, the combination of those fruit juices. And the fact that it is an RTD or ready to drink or a ready to go product, it's air sealed. It will not oxidize. Unfortunately, most of your other sources of omega-3s, the minute you twist that cap off and oxygen, gets to that product, it begins to oxidize. It begins to slowly break down. Now, hopefully, you mentioned those real big bottles of omega-3s, and people take months and months and months to use it. That's probably doing a little bit more harm if it does oxidize than it is good.
Yeah, that's why I buy those at the big box stores. That is like, it's counterintuitive. It's counteractive.
Yeah, and that's been another key factor with this product is because it is a ready to drink, and with our current situation, there's a lot of, we don't want to touch things. We want, here's a single serving, you drink it, when you're done, you throw it away and you're done. There's no mixing, there's no blending of anything. Again, we're not having to reach into a pill box to take anything else. And that's been another big advantage, for a lot of these schools that are kind of moving away from mixing, having to mix things. So that's good. That wasn't one of the things we planned originally. It just happened to be in a ready to drink and emulsification. And I have asked our developer and inventor many times, hey, how did you do this? What did you do? And all she'll tell me is 15 years of work you know, moving 1 milligram here and temperature here. And it's, you know, it's a difficult product to make. Another reason why the manufacturing is where it is, they've worked together, I think, some in the past, and with these emulsifications. So therein lies just another challenge, and you know, bringing our manufacturer here stateside, which I think we will do at some point in time. We'll have to see what 2021 brings as we're, you know, kind of moving through this period, which we all kind of been affected by in some way. But I will say that the enthusiasm for the drink has still remained really positive, even through the shutdown. You know, I've stayed in contact with a lot of these programs, and so there's a very high level of interest. And as we get more and more into the hands of these athletes to let them try, they're realizing many of the things that you've already spoken about. Hey, it's the taste. Hey, you're getting kind of 3 for 1. It's going to eliminate what, you know, some of these other things that you're taking. And when we can show via some of the trials that, you know, because it is food-based and completely bioavailable when taken, the body treats it like a food, we can theorize based on some of the other emulsifications and some of the other studies that are out there that we're getting a very high level of absorption of this product because it doesn't separate. Unlike most other fish oils, it's going to separate in an aqueous solution, particularly in our stomach. We don't necessarily know how much of that is being absorbed. Mm-hmm. Where is it being absorbed? How, you know, how much is being passed? We don't know. But we can look at those levels and make sure that those levels are adequately rising based on, you know, the levels of product that we're taking. I would like to think, I haven't tested. I've got a couple of those little, you know, blood splatter tests. I've been tempted to say, well, you know what, I've been taking 2 of these for, you know, maybe sometimes 2-3 days a week, depending on the week. Some days it's just, you know, I take 1, see where my omega scale would be, you know, where I would rank on that scale. I would hope that I was up there around that 8 to 9.
Yeah. Well, three like good points I want to hit on. One is the resource. So something that a lot of people don't know about me is I have this kind of family history in the fishing industry. So my husband sells seafood for a living.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
His father started a company way back in the 80s. And so my husband is one of the biggest buyers of black cod and halibut. Oh. He exports, you know, to all over the world and all over the nation. Right. Black cod is one of the highest sources of omega-3s out of all the fish. King salmon, like black cod's the big boy, right?
Right.
Fish, I understand, like sustainable fishing. You know, making sure that there's enough resource in the ocean, right? Mm-hmm. Managing that, and then the way you fish. So as far as like an environmental sustainability and who the fishermen are is actually a really big deal. So I love the story that you just told me about the Norwegian fishing family.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that you know the family, so you can trace where this is coming from, which is so rare.
Right.
Not only are you drinking something that's high quality, but you're supporting a local business, a small local business family, which I think now a lot of people are realizing, especially with COVID and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
For us to support each other and to support those small businesses and family businesses and stuff. So not only is the quality there, but the story is lovely and doing it's good for the environment and good for like small economy.
Yeah,
right. Second is dose. So you have a high dose product, 1.6 grams, right?
Yeah, correct.
People are thinking out there, well, can you take too much? And my thing would be, it would be very hard to take.
Very hard, right.
So even with taking 1 to 3 grams a day, a lot of my players are still at like a 7 to 8 level on an omega check. 8 is ideal for me.
Right.
this really great book by Dr. Michael Lewis. It's called When Brains Collide, and he's done a ton of traumatic brain injury research.
Yeah.
Works with NFL team, hockey teams to look at the level of inflammation in the brain and the amount of omega-3s that it takes to counteract that. And so those, and his levels are 12.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, I feel good. I feel great. So it would be hard. Like you could drink this every day and you wouldn't overdo it. So people out there,
sure.
Okay, well, this is a high dose product. Totally safe. There would only be benefit to it. Fraction of that, which I come up with doctors a lot, is the quote unquote blood thinning risk with high omega.
Yeah.
I truly believe that's an old school thought, and that's an old school myth. The research that's been done around surgeries and around brain injury, you do not bleed out because of the high.
Because of the omega-3s. Yeah. Yeah.
They give you blood thinners when you're going into surgery that are intense. Coumadin, we're giving you those. And so they're worried that an omega-3, which has slight blood thinning properties, is going to throw you over. But there's a ton of research out of the Oregon Health Science Institute that has proven that, like day a ton of traumatic brain injury research that has been done on like car accident victims, and they are using like 20 grams a day. So I think people I like to like give people education. Like, we have this great product, but like what's the science behind it, that it would be very, very, very hard to overdo it. And there's nothing but benefit for so many different pieces. And so I'm a huge omega-3 advocate, and this just happens to cover all the bases.
Yeah. And I like you mentioned Dr. Lewis and some of the research. I know one of the recent trials I was involved in as a participant was done for specifically related to, I don't say traumatic brain injury, but potentially CTE, and as a collegiate professional player over the years, and this is back before we really had any kind of concussion protocols, and there were many, many, many times, we call it, I got my bell rung. Well, there was a reason why that bell was ringing, in our heads. And, but I can remember the times that I don't remember, honestly, initiating contact or, whatever kind of contact it might've been. And just, I don't remember. In fact, one of my peers and former teammates recently put together a great Facebook organization called Southwest Conference Ballers, and it was all of the former players from the old Southwest Conference, and all the teams were in Texas except for Arkansas. Yeah. It was a great conference, but it brought back just some wonderful memories and some of the old tapes of the games. And we're looking at these tapes, and I'm watching them with my son. He's like, "Oh, Dad, that was a great, you just made a sack. That was a great sack." And I said, "Son, I don't even remember that. I don't remember that play." So, but as a part of this, this study, Dr. Bales, Julian Bales, who was played by Alec Baldwin in the movie Concussion, with Will Smith, he was involved with some of the trials and doing some research on, traumatic brain injury and CTE, and much of the research that he done, all of the studies were done at, that 3 gram threshold and above, for the cognitive side. And so we do have a lot of aged athletes that we provided this product to. We've told them, listen, take 2 a day, and I want you to consistently take 2 a day. And there's a 2-week to maybe 20-day period where you're slowly elevating those levels, especially if you're deficient, which most people are, to where we reach a good peak plasma level of the omega-3s in our bloodstream. And so then let us know how you feel. And guys are coming back. One guy came back and he was just crying. He's like, man, I haven't slept more than 2 hours at a time for years. I'm sleeping at night. I'm dreaming. And he says, I'm dreaming in color. And I said, well, I don't know what that means, but great. But, you know, and just story after story like that, that we're hearing, and it makes you feel good when you're thinking, wow, we're providing a fantastic product. We know we're going after the elite athletes that are actively involved in some of this, but some of these aged athletes too that are just benefiting so much from this product. Makes you feel good. Makes you feel really good.
Yeah. Well, and I think what people don't understand, I do these big intakes on these athletes and I ask how many concussions they've had. And a lot of people are like 0, 1 diagnosed. And I'm like, first of all, that's
right.
On it's a sport or whatever. You don't think about, even as a kid, like as an adolescent, how many concussive blows that you.
Oh, yeah.
So I personally have had 6 concussions, which is it. And so I played softball, which is where I got most of them. And then I've been in really 2 bad car accidents. I was hit by a drunk driver and then hit by a semi truck. My head hit the dash. And my car in high school, the first one hit by a drunk driver, I was rear-ended from the back end, and I drove a 1980 Ford Bronco in high school.
Oh, wow. Like, they just brought the Bronco back.
It died at hills. Like, I grew up, like, I didn't drive a really cool car in high school. I had a big machine, but it was like a tank, no airbags. So
no airbags.
Big, hard steering wheel, and my head slammed that thing. I was past. So I've had some like run-ins in the outfield. I've had slides into home where concussions, and then these 2 things. So I didn't play in college. I didn't play professional athletics. I'm an everyday athlete now. I just work out, basics.
Right.
Super important for me to make sure that damage, because damage is cumulative over time. It's not just the one and there's damage and then it repairs. It's like it goes all the way back into adolescence. And so I think what I'm trying to say here is, like, if you get nothing out of this podcast, it's the importance of omega-3s for almost everyone. Here is a really easy way, sustainable way, a very family supported way, a very like tasty, like hits all these things. So I would say if somebody out there, if an athlete's listening, if somebody else is listening, if you don't already take omega-3s, or if you take one of those crappy big bottles from the big box stores,
right.
Try it.
Yeah.
Just try it. See what you think. And you can do it like me if you're nervous. Do it in a mason.
Right. Yeah.
But I think it's worth the try. There's science behind your product. So if somebody wanted to try it, how do they get into America's now?
Well, we have a full-blown website with so much information. We have our scientific advisory team, which consists of Dr. Bob Murray, who's the co-founder of Gatorade Sports Science Institute. Professor Stuart Phillips is also involved with us. We've got a number of scientists over in the UK that are working with us as well, and their profiles are there. So you can read about them. You can read about the product, our inventor. You can see what's in the product. You can see the testimonials from some of the professional athletes. But if you click on that Buy Now button, in fact, I've created a special discount code for your listeners of this podcast. If you will type in the word crave health.
Perfect.
That will save you 20% off of any product that you would like to purchase from the Enhanced Recovery team. It comes in 3 different versions. If you're just looking to try it and you're not sure, buy a 6-pack. If you're full-blown omega-3s and you want a full case, then get a case of 24 cartons and enjoy it. But yeah, if you'll use that code CRAVE, when they ask you, there'll be a little box at checkout for a coupon code. Just punch in the word CRAVE and you'll save 20%.
That's so awesome.
And
Thank you.
We'll leave that up for a month.
Awesome.
For all your listeners to buy some product.
And this was my last one, so I actually need to reorder a case.
You need to reorder some. Yeah, I seem to reorder often, and then, you know, I'll grab what I can from our office if we got some extras.
Yep.
You know, I don't prefer one over the other. You know, our Pro product, which is the one that we're selling on our website. We do have an Amazon site as well. If you want to purchase the product from Amazon, you can go punch in, you know, enhanced recovery, omega-3 enhanced recovery into Amazon, and you can find it on Amazon.
Cool.
But I take both. You know, if I've got some NCAA product laying around, you know, the carnitine in the product is a wonderful fatty acid transport.
Yes.
That's why you see carnitine in a lot of these products. It aids in transporting a lot of these nutrients to our cells, you know, to that cellular level. And then there's, again, we've taken out the bovine collagen for the NCAA. But I feel they both work equally as well. I mean, I know I'm getting my omega-3s. I'm still getting my 20 gram, my protein source.
Yep.
And that's, you know, that 20 is one of a number of protein sources that I take throughout the day, including other liquid proteins, along with the foods that I eat. I still treat myself and train like I'm 25, but I'm not, which is fine. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel young.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to see, you know, as many of your listeners take advantage of that coupon code. And again, that's CRAVE, CRAVE.
What's the website?
It's ersportsdrink.com.
ersportsdrink.com. And I also see you guys have Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and we're very active on all of those platforms. We'd love for you to follow us on some of those platforms and keep up with some of the things that we're doing. You know, we recently had, you know, an opportunity with, we work with so many professional athletes, and we work with a nonprofit organization up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's all free. A number of international track athletes train at this facility, and we've been working with them, providing some product to some of the athletes that come through there. And recently they had a very prominent track team come through there by one of our sports out there. I don't want to give anybody too much pub, but one of the gentlemen that was there just the other day ran the fastest 100-meter time that's been clocked in the United States this year.
Woo.
At this facility. And so, you know, those are the type of athletes, one, that we're using this product with. And again, the NFL, the WNBA, MLS, NHL teams. We've got some NBA teams that have sampled some of the product. And anytime you're the new guy and you are defining that market, it takes time for them to get used to. A lot of times they want to see the trials and a number of the certifications, and all of those things will come as we grow this brand. And I believe we'll have some new packaging maybe come 2021 with our product. We'll probably stay with the, you know, the carton. We like it. We don't want to get to the plastics where we have the issues of people. They don't like the plastics that melt into your products.
Yes.
So, yeah, but you know, you can and feel free if you want to just email me personally. I'm good with that. You can reach me at MW, which is my first and last initial, at ersportsdrink.com, and I'll answer any questions you have about the product. Love to do that.
I love it. I think I would really encourage you guys to try this. I think one of the main reasons I wanted to do this podcast and kind of publicly self with you guys, because when I get behind a product, it's because I've done my research, is because there's so much this industry is hard to fight because there's so much thrown at people, and there's so much marketing BS out there, and people are spinning things, and just feel like they're getting sold to all the time. And so I just wanted to really put this out there. Like, this is a great product. It's not a snake oil thing. There's no catch. It's just a really great way to get in something that science is backing. So I love, thank you for being willing to come on my podcast. And
it's been great.
it's good to educate people, and for me to kind of put a stamp on it, is people trust my opinion. Me saying like, I take it, I've researched it, here's the guide, he can tell you.
Right.
So it's going to be good for people to just hear it from us, you know?
Yeah. And also on our website, if you go to the website, I did a series of videos, about 7, I think there were 7 videos where I just kind of walk you through the entire process of, you know, what are omega-3s, what do they do, specifically this product, talk a little bit about our founders, our background, how we got started. And it gives you some, and the videos are real short, a minute, minute and a half, because people lose interest really quick.
Yeah.
So you can watch those videos as well. That's up there. And then we've got a blog page that you can see different blogs. And there's a lot of information on the website. You could spend 10, 15, 20 minutes just kind of looking through the website and picking up little bits of information about the product. And then click buy now, and it'll have a US and a UK button, and go to the US. Make sure you put in your Crave coupon.
Yep. Thank you. Well, thank you for educating us, sharing with us. It's always cool when new products come out that are legit, for people to jump on those and get the benefit, because right now you would be gaining an edge because there's nothing like this out there. So if you are one of the first people to jump on doing this, I mean, you're already ahead of the game. So I really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed the conversation, and you know, one of our chairman, Phil Marino, who made the comment, we believe this is a scientific breakthrough in optimal muscle, you know, recovery and repair for athletes and for, you know, the general population out there. It's a fantastic way to get your omega-3s. I
agree. Well, thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Ashley. It's great talking with you.
It's ersportsdrink.com. The code for 30 days, guys, so get on it, is CRAVES, CRAVE. And if you like it, and if you have feedback for Matt, email him directly.
Sure.
Talk to them through social media, their Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It's still ER Sports Drink. So yeah, tell them what you think, and tell me what you think. Sometimes it's not going to be like a full, the first day you drink it, you feel incredible. It's after you've been drinking it for a week, think about what you don't have. Think about the headaches that you don't have, about maybe your sleep. Think about things like that. So soreness, like you said. So I'm excited to
Well, great. Again, thank you very much. Good luck, everybody.
Thanks, Matt. I'll talk to you.
All right. Bye-bye.